have two questions that I try to answer myself. First of all is an applied one. How do we deal with the theory of property rights in family, the relationship between parents and child? For example, me as a father, in my relationship with my sons, when do they have full property rights on their own body?
I think they have.
And
I think the criterion that Rothbard gave is in a way a sensible criterion. I mean, obviously, we cannot say a specific age. We cannot say at 3, at 4, at 5. That depends. The children are different.
Sorry. For better understanding, it's the time when he is born, or he's in her mother. He's when he is unborn, but he still exists.
That's a tricky question. I do think that regardless of what your position is on should abortion be permitted or should it not be permitted, it can never be an issue that is an issue for the state. It can only be an issue for those parties that are directly involved. That is, the mother and maybe the father and maybe the grandparents and so forth. So it would have to be regarded as a family matter that should be disputed and decided within the family. To have a state law saying abortion is all right or saying that abortion is not all right, I think I would be opposed to any of these solutions. The matter has traditionally been handled within families. Pressure is generated on the woman to either not abort or to abort, and their decision, whatever the decision they come to, should be respected because it has been made by those people who are directly or indirectly affected by it. That would be my position on this. And we do not have to be able to decide all questions that arise in life. These lifeboat situations that people frequently bring, that you touched upon, somebody comes swimming across the ocean there and wants to crawl onto your island. Do you have the obligation to accept them onto your island, or can you say, hey, swim back where you came from? Yes, a person might have the right to say, swim back where you came from, but the consequences might be quite drastic. He might not be punished, but a person like this can be ostracized. Nobody might ever want to have anything to do again with a person that made a decision such as this. On the other hand, it might be an arch enemy who has previously killed my father, my mother, and now gets out of the water and wants to crawl onto my island. In that case, people might well see that's what he deserved, to get told, swim back where you came from. So not all, one should free oneself from the illusion that all conceivable scenarios we must be able to hammer out an immediate solution to it. there is in a free society also a function for lawyers and judges. You bring your conflicts before third parties who command respect, and they come up with judgments that are in accordance with local traditions, regional traditions, and so forth. I have, again, coming back to the abortion case, there are very few opponents of abortion who would just go as far as to say, even if fetus is the result of a rape, the woman should be obliged to carry the kid until birth. Again, I have no clear-cut answer what the decision should be in this situation. This is something for family courts, family councils, and so forth to decide, but it is certainly nothing that should be a matter of state policy. One thing is, of course, it is decisive, does there a parasitic relationship exist, or is the parasitic relationship over? Once they are born, the parasitic relationship is over. Before they are attached, biologically speaking, as a parasite to somebody else. So this is a decisive moment when the umbilical cord is cut, so to speak. Then the second thing is, kids, of course, are not, once they're born, certainly not produced by their parents in the sense that we produce a refrigerator or a telephone. Because we can always say there are goods that are appropriated, and there are goods that are naturally owned. Over my body, I have direct control. And every person has only direct control over their own body. I can have control over his body, but not directly, only by using my body first. The parents have control over the kid, but no direct control. And who has direct control or indirect control? Direct control logically precedes, of course, indirect control. And that we have direct control, the proof is simple. I can say, I decide to lift my arm. I can make your arm go up too, but not in this way. I would have to lift it up. You are the only one who can just will certain things to happen with something to which you are in a way tied as nobody else is tied. Insofar, the argument, yeah, but parents were impregnated, the mother was impregnated, and because of this, the child is, so to speak, the product, just like a telephone is a product of the telephone producer, does not work. If the telephone would, in fact, once it has been produced, then all of a sudden call people up on its own and receive telephone calls without me interfering, then we would have to say, maybe the telephone is just also a rational entity, and we have to apply the same type of reasoning that we apply to humans too.
Going back to abortion, perhaps all in this room, most of you are familiar with some arguments in Ethics of Liberty, the main translation, which is not published yet. But right there, it's you can see an argument about abortion in this way. Is there any possibility to view this case in this way? The parents are directly responsible, and they are the main cause for the children's inability. So it will follow logic from here that you have to raise him until he gets a moment where he can advocate for his property rights.
Yeah.
So as to
And if you don't do it, then you have to make sure that the kid is offered
yes.
for adoption to somebody who would do this.
We agree with this are killers, remains this question if the state should go there and restrict abortion or let it be. I mean, is it the state a criminal when he intervenes in abortion, or he only refrains the criminal, another criminal, from its acts?
But again, it wouldn't have to be the state. Every private person could do that also.
Yes,
right?
yes, but
Yeah.
what would happen if...
With the state, the argument against the state would be because the state gets its funding, so to speak, in a criminal way. If a private person would prevent this sort of thing from happening, he would do it with his own resources. So it would be more moral if a private person would intervene in the way that you said, and the state would stay out of it entirely. Because after all, I mean, even the personnel that it sends in there to do whatever they do would be personnel that is funded by in an illegitimate way.
I mean, it's like inviting somebody on your boat, and then you're
dumping him off. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility to do it?
Yeah, that is a violation of the contracts that, so to speak, exist.